today on a very special Dave and Darren's Top 5 Things.
Big color.
Not really a special episode, although we do kind of talk about very special episodes. We'll get into that a little bit later on in the show. But what you are listening to now, what you have downloaded, is Dave and Darren's Top 5 Things. This is a review of what we got done on our morning show, which can be heard every morning at planet939.com or on the FM airwaves if you live in the Quad Cities at 93.9 FM. Yes? Yes. This is the podcast, though.
See, the
And
podcast is
yes.
brought to you by Nature's Treatment of Illinois. They have two locations, Tech Drive in Milan, West Main Street in Galesburg. Milan's open every day. Galesburg's open on weekdays and Saturdays. Nature's Treatment offers a wide selection of products for recreational use, including flower, vapes, and edibles. The recreational waiting lists are available. You can reserve your time at ntillinois.com.
Here's our first of the top 5 things. Number one.
Number one.
We have a story here of a gator that got loose, and I know what you're thinking. Oh, terrific. This would be today's quota for the Florida story. Except it's not Florida, it's Wisconsin, don't you know? A private zoo in Wisconsin dealt with a gator on the loose. Doc's Zoo at Doc's Harley-Davidson in Bonduel, up over there in Schwano County, Yahe. An alligator named Rex, missing from his enclosure over the weekend.
Been a lot of alligators going missing lately.
They really have. Steve Doc Hopkins is the owner of the zoo. He said Rex was there at the facility for 35 years and is typically very docile, you know, and unlikely to pose a danger to the public. He doesn't go hunt for his food. He's never had to do that. I don't even think he knows how. You think an alligator doesn't know how to hunt for food? Just because you've been feeding him, that doesn't mean, right?
I guess it's hard to find good help these days. They don't know to close the door.
The Facebook post said that Rex the gator got out, but he has severe arthritis in his jaws, making it very difficult to open his mouth more than an inch. Okay, I think I like my chances against a gator that can't open his mouth more than an inch.
Well, I do feel better.
Rex, one of 4 gators there at the zoo. Most of these animals at the zoo over by there in Schwano County, they're typically exotic pets that are surrendered by owners who can no longer care for them.
Retired pets?
Yeah, hey there, I can't take care of this gator no more.
I really shouldn't have had him in the first place.
I'm going to take him over to the Harley dealership over there in Bonduel, you know. Yeah, hey, they'll take care of him, you know, real good, real fine, sure. I'm pleased to share that while Rex was missing for a time, he is home safe now. But the original update from Doc Zoo was, we are heartbroken that on Saturday, May 22nd, one of our alligators went missing from his enclosure. It is important to note that Rex, the missing gator, is very old and has severe arthritis in his jaws, making it very difficult to open his mouth more than an inch. He's typically very docile and is not a danger to the public. Extensive search efforts have continued since his disappearance. If you happen to find Rex, please keep your distance and don't harm him.
He's only capable of eating thinly sliced lunch meat.
I know. What do you feed him? Oh, yeah, he eats fruit roll-ups mostly. One of 4 gators they keep there at Doc Zoo, usually in their heated indoor pond during the winter.
Ugh.
Because let me tell you something,
no.
Schwano County, that's not a place you want to be outdoors if you're an alligator. You don't want to be outdoors if you're a human. Unless you know you're doing some snowmobiling. Oh, then it's plenty fun. Oh, sure. Tell you what you eat when you can't open your mouth that much when you're a gator. Crappies, probably, mostly.
Just slide it in sideways.
Bonduel is continuing to search for its missing alligator named Rex. Fox 11's Maggie Lemire is live with an update on search efforts, how they're going so far. Hi, Maggie.
Hi, Emily. Good morning. Well, search efforts, they're continuing this morning because Rex has not yet been located. This is normally where they're brought to in the summer months. As you can see, there's no water in any of these places. That's because they drained them to make sure Rex was not in there. So Doc Zoo has had Rex for 35 years, and the owner expects, who I'm with this morning, expects that he was probably about 5 years old when they got him, making him more middle-aged is what I'm understanding. Is that right, Doc?
Yeah, I would say these probably reached the midlife crisis.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Who's in the background taking a pull off a bong?
Well, here's what Doc Hopkins looks like.
Okay. Okay. You've answered my question.
Yeah, the video of this. Doc looks like he has a fun time.
He takes it all in stride.
Oh, yeah, Hater. He's having a midlife crisis there, probably, you know. But, the Gators, they can't buy Miatas like you or I would, during our midlife times, Oh, criminy.
The midlife crisis. Okay, tell me about how he is normally, because you say he's pretty docile.
This is the most, by the way, Wisconsin reporter I've ever heard. Doc says something and she just goes, "Oh, goodness gracious." Did you catch that? He makes a little joke. She goes, "Oh, goodness gracious."
Midlife crisis.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Oh, yeah, hey
The
there.
midlife crisis. Okay, tell me about how he is normally, because you say he's pretty docile.
Well, compared to a crocodile, American alligator is always much more docile than a crocodile. Crocodiles are much more high-strung, but these alligators here, the American alligators I've had for years, and for the most part, they're just very docile. They don't try to come after you or attack you in any way. They just kind of sit around and veg all week long and wait for me to come in and feed them.
Feed them on Saturday mornings, and that's what they were doing. They were trying to do when they realized that Rex was not here. You have a sign over there. It says, "Smile, you're on candid camera." Were you able to find anything from video camera footage?
No, we were not. Unfortunately, the camera didn't pick anything up at night here. It was dark, and the gator is dark, and I don't know.
It was dark like a gator that night, I'll tell you what.
Rex was disguised as a chicken when he made his break.
Hey, I'm not even mad. The costume is flawless.
It's really a mystery. I don't know what to think about it. They've never tried to scale this wall or even push on it or whatever. I mean, the most they do is lay up against it sometime, but it's got this big thick wire that goes down, and we've got the smaller wire in between to keep fingers out of there, but.
It's all up to code.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't need the state coming out here asking no questions, all right?
So how about you turn the cameras off?
Okay, now you asked your question. Now I need you to leave here. I'm trying to move some Harleys, yeah?
Someone even has double thickness,
I see that. Let's talk about the temperature, because as we know, it was pretty warm on Saturday. Definitely today is a different story. Where do you think he is? What do you think happened?
Oh, he's probably down by Ashwaubenon by now,
Trying to pass himself off as a giant chicken.
They'll do that. The American Gator, they will, that's their first move, is they try to
Which I don't know is the smartest idea. Being that there's such a chicken shortage in the country.
That's the thing. I hope he's not processed as poultry, Yahe.
Well, my guess is that he got down into the woods, and there's swampy area down there, and he's probably hunkered down in some water. When they get cold, they like to get in the water.
Gee, really, Doc? You think the alligator went to the swamp? Clearly, you're an expert in the field here. Oh, yeah, my guess would be he's doing, alligator stuff, And
the air is much more cold to them than the water would be. So for now, I'm sure he's hunkered down in the water somewhere, and when the sun comes out, then they will want to come out and get into the sunlight and get on a bank, and that's when we're hoping to find him. I've got 4 ponds on the property here, and he very well could be in one of them. You can't just look down in there. There's weeds and stuff in there, so he could be laying on the bottom of there. And, every so often they come up and just take a little breath of air and then submerge back down. So if you miss that, I mean, in 4 ponds, you don't know
You don't know. Well, wish you the best of luck with your search efforts. They do have a couple of people, as long with a search dog, out there right now. Doc tells me that if anyone is interested in coming and help out with the search, there's one qualification, and what is that?
Well, it would help if you guys at least had one episode of Swamp People under your belt, but not necessary.
There you have it. One episode of Swamp People under your belt, but people have been out here throughout the morning and they're expecting more as the rain lets up over the course of the morning. Just quickly to give you kind of an idea of the area, 4 ponds, but 70 acres here on the property. I wish them all the luck as they continue their search.
Yeah,
I
best of luck.
I gotta be honest with you, Natalie. I don't think we stand a chance in finding him.
I'll tell you this. If he don't want to be found, you'll never find him.
The minimal effort we're going to put into this probably isn't going to afford us the opportunity to find him.
I probably shouldn't say this on the television here, but we found an empty bottle of hydrogen peroxide. He could have dyed his hair. Hell, he could be anywhere by now, you know.
Yeah, he could be working the casino floors.
Oh, yeah. He kept saying that they switched the samples and that he didn't kill his wife. I don't know what any of that means, yeah, hey, but come on out and buy a bike while you're out here, you know? Yeah, hey. Again, the update is that Rex is home safe.
That's good.
They were able to find him. He didn't get too far. An elderly American alligator apparently is not going to go too far. So that's the good news, yeah, hey. But, you know, we hope he enjoyed his time out, you know, such as it was. It's a shame he didn't make it down to, you know, Lambeau. He could have gone to the, you know, the Packer Hall of Fame and whatnot.
Number two.
This woman in Massachusetts, Southwick, Massachusetts to be exact, accidentally tossed out $1 million lottery ticket. Threw it in the garbage. But she was able to collect her winnings because the owners of the store where she bought it went through the trash and retrieved it for her. Lee Rose Figa bought a $30 Diamond Million scratch-off ticket at the Lucky Stop convenience store in
$30.
Southwick. Yeah, it's a $30 scratch-off. I know, right?
Better win something.
She bought the $30 Diamond Million scratch-off at the Lucky Stop convenience store, which is where she works. She says, I was in a hurry on a lunch break, and I just scratched it real quick, and I looked at it, and it didn't look like a winner, so I handed it over to them to throw away. The ticket lay behind the counter for 10 days. Abi Shah is the son of the store's owners, and he says, one evening I was going through the tickets from the trash and found out that she didn't scratch the number, and I scratched the number, and it was $1 million underneath the ticket.
You're going to spend $30 on a scratch-off ticket, and you don't even know how to scratch it off?
First of all, I have to confess, I didn't realize there was such a thing as a $30 scratch-off ticket. That seems like you're in a hurry to just throw away money. Right? A $30 scratch-off
I
ticket?
did it quick during lunch.
She's a regular customer at this convenience store, so the family knew who it was that threw it away. And Shah goes to where this woman works with the ticket from the garbage that's worth $1 million. She says, he came to my office and said, my mom and dad would like to see you. And I said, I'm working. And he said, no, you have to come over. So I went over there, and that's when they told me. I was in total disbelief. I cried and I hugged them. She was just overcoming a near-fatal bout with COVID-19. She had that in January. So March was like the first time that she felt good enough to go to work and leave the house. And she said recovering from that near-fatal bout of COVID was like winning the lottery. This, though, is actually winning the lottery. She says, I mean, who does that? They're great people. I am beyond blessed.
Yeah, when the guy from the convenience store comes looking for you at work. It would be
Can you
a
imagine?
strange situation.
Can you imagine?
Can I help you?
Yeah, Leah, there's a gentleman here from the convenience store nearby that says he needs to see you.
What? This isn't going to be good.
Yeah, my mom and dad would like to see you. What?
Your mom and dad?
Why do I have to see your mom and dad?
Why are we getting your parents involved?
The store will get a $10,000 bonus from the State Lottery Commission for selling the winning ticket. And she says she also gave the family an additional reward. She's putting the rest away for retirement. Mm-hmm. But you're right. To buy a $30, if I spent $30 on a scratch-off ticket,
I'm scratching it all off.
you'd best believe every nook and cranny of that scratch-off ticket will be investigated by me. I will spend more time looking at that than anything else for the rest of the day. Will you throw this away? Yeah, sure, we'll throw it away. But then they didn't. For some reason, they hung on to it and pulled it out of the trash. It was there for 10 days. Realized it was worth $1 million. And instead of just saying, oh, well, $1 million for us, they did the right thing. So that's the story.
Uh-huh.
But also the story is $30 scratch-off ticket? That's a thing, huh? Illinois Lottery probably has a $30 scratch-off ticket, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure what
If they
you can
have that
spend.
if they have that in Massachusetts. Here's a listing of the best scratch-off tickets for the Illinois Lottery. There is a they have a $30 ticket. Overall odds of winning the $30 ticket, 1 in 2.8. So that gives you a little bit of an edge. Now, you're not going to win the $5 million riches for the Illinois Lottery. It's a $30 ticket, but you probably are going to win like $10, right? Or you win $5.
You get nothing.
Oh, man, there's Ultimate Millions that's a $30 scratch-off. There's the $5 million jackpot. There's a lot of $30 scratch-offs. Most of them are 20 and 25 that I'm looking at here. So when you... Help me out if you're somebody that plays scratch-offs. The more the ticket costs, the better your chances are of winning a little something. Is that how that works? That must be how that works, because otherwise, why would anyone in their right mind spend $25, $30 on a scratch-off?
Gotta have the action.
No one understands that better than me, but just a scratch-off ticket seems like you're just throwing money away. Clearly that was not the case for this woman in Massachusetts. Do they still have the pull tab tickets? Remember that, where you got to kind of like rip them open? Those used to be a lot of fun to go and get at the dog track. Okay, looks like there's a lot of $30 scratch-offs on the Iowa lottery as well. Colossal Crossword, Win Big, those are your $30 scratchers. See, the $1, $2, and $3 scratch-offs, that's about as comfortable as I am when I'm playing scratch-off tickets. And I maybe do that once or twice a year.
I received them for Christmas.
They are a fun Christmas gift. Win Big and Colossal. There's a lot of $20 here as well. Yeah. I guess the takeaway here is take a look at your ticket before you throw it away. Maybe read the instructions. Maybe don't be in a hurry to just throw away $30.
Number 3.
We were talking about lottery scratch-off tickets. It turns out you have a far greater chance on both sides of the river of colliding with an animal on the road than you do winning anything from either the Illinois or Iowa lottery.
Well, certainly out here.
My wife swears that she saw an armadillo on Middle Road not that long ago. Now, I know they're not that far from us. You've never seen an armadillo here in the Quad Cities, have you?
Not here in the Quad Cities.
But they are making their way further and further north. You'll see plenty of them in, like, Missouri.
Saw them in Oklahoma.
Yeah. I think that they are moving ever closer to us. If you've seen an armadillo or had a collision with an armadillo in our listening area, let us know on the text line, won't you? 470-23-NACHO. She swears it was an armadillo. And I said, well, Darren once thought he saw a velociraptor.
Raptors, several of them. It was only for a split second.
Between the two of you, I don't know.
And then a buddy of mine out in Port Byron saw a wallaby. Or thought he saw a wallaby, but he was also distracted at the time.
Okay, But let's give your buddy this. He saw an animal that hasn't been extinct for millions of years.
Well, that's true.
Wallabies have at least existed at the same time as man has walked the earth.
The age of man is over.
Okay, Jared. Drivers in Illinois have a 1 in 148 chance of colliding with an animal. And more often than not, of course, it's a deer, right? The deer, our nation's silent killers. 11th in the country, the state of Illinois ranks 11th for vehicle collisions with deer. Now, this is more of a concern in the autumn than it is here in the spring and early summer.
And which is the number one state?
I can tell you that Iowa ranks as high as 4th for deer collision claims. According to data from State Farm, Iowans, a lot of collision with deer and elk in Iowa. Now, I don't know where you're driving that you're in Iowa that you're getting an elk. What do you think the chances are in Iowa? I told you in Illinois it's 1 in 140 something. What do you think the chances are an Iowa driver would hit a deer according to this study that I'm looking at?
Oh, I would say probably 1 in 69.
There it is!
69, dude!
Iowa drivers have a 1 in 69 chance of hitting a deer, according to a deer collision study that the good people at State Farm did. The top of the list you asked is West Virginia. Yeah, in West Virginia, you have a 1 in 43 chance of hitting a deer with your car. No, I don't care for that. 1 in 43?
Yeah, because I go out driving more than 43 times.
I think it's not every 43 times you're going to hit a deer. That's not how odds work. Every time you drive a car, you have a 1 in 43 chance. Still, that's a little bit high.
I'm hitting a deer every month and a half.
Most claims
Never ends.
Most of the claims here in Iowa and Illinois, according to Farmers Insurance, come between September and November, which again would make sense because that's when they're crazy from the heat. They can be deadly, deer collisions. So what can be done? Is there a way to reduce auto collisions? Well, there might be. They've been doing a study up in Michigan, and the answer to keeping the deer off the roads is, Darren, wolves. Wolves scare deer and reduce auto collisions by 24%.
But they scare them where?
Off the roads. That's all that matters. Deer doesn't feel so good about running around if there's wolves around. In the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, where you can imagine deer collisions were pretty common, right?
Sure.
Ecologist Rolf Peterson says he remembers driving remote stretches of road in the UP and seeing areas just strewn with deer carcasses. But then the gray wolves started coming in from Minnesota and Canada. That happened in the 90s and the early 2000s. And when that happens, the deer vehicle collisions go way, way down. Another team of scientists gathered data about road collisions and wolf movements in Wisconsin so they could quantify how the arrival of wolves affects the frequency of deer auto collisions. And what they say is the wolves create a landscape of fear for deer. Deer fear. In a pretty short period of time, according to a natural resources economist at the University of Wisconsin, Dominic Parker telling the AP here, quote, in a pretty short period of time, once wolves colonize a county, deer vehicle collisions go down about 24%. Study was just published in the journal Proceedings of the Natural Academy of Sciences. And yes, we
because they
do subscribe.
They stop wandering around.
Yeah, they think that
well,
there's a couple of things that happen. One, there's fewer deer to run in the road because the deer kind of thin the population. The wolves eat the deer. And a wolf eating a deer means that's one less deer that's going in your grill of your car, right? They also say that there are behavior changes and fearful deer
Stay hidden.
stay hidden. When you have a major predator around, it impacts how you behave when you are prey. The only thing a deer's got to worry about is right here, is like nothing, other than an occasional car
me?
hitting him, right? Wolves are able to kind of use linear features of a landscape. So roads and stream beds and pipelines, wolves will use those to kind of create boundaries. So deer learn, don't go by the road because that's where the wolves are. They're not afraid of the semi-trucks. They're not afraid of you and your vehicle. They're afraid of wolves because I guess wolves have been around a lot longer than automobiles. Maybe it's just deeper in their programming.
I ain't afraid of no convoy.
Gray wolves were protected by the Endangered Species Act in 1973. They reintroduced them to Yellowstone National Park in the mid-90s. But in other parts of the country, gray wolves have dispersed naturally. Right now in the lower 48 states, there are only about 5,500 gray wolves. But this study says the presence of wolves can save us all a lot of money by reducing deer vehicle collisions. Now, ranchers don't love gray wolves because, gray wolves will prey on their livestock. But a study done by the United States Department of Transportation in 2008 says that every year we're spending $8 billion on crashes with deer. $8 billion. Now, there's no way that the ranchers are losing $8 billion worth of livestock to the wolves. So they'll have to figure this out, but I'm all for it.
Yeah, my brother hit one not that long ago.
A deer?
Yeah.
It's not cheap.
No.
Auto collisions are not happening in rural areas. And they also say one of the things that they're learning with the reintroduction, at least in the UP, is there really hasn't been any damage to livestock. They say, if anything, because the data that they're looking at here from the Department of Transportation is from 2008, and what this new study says is, if anything, they may have underestimated the value of the deer vehicle crashes. It could be a lot more than $8 billion. But in places where cougars are
Well, now you're
introduced,
talking cougars.
Cougars decrease the number of deer vehicle crashes in the eastern part of the United States by about 22%. So the larger takeaway is here, you have to kind of consider the cost and benefit of having these giant carnivores sharing the land with these stupid deer that can't wait to run in front of your car. I'm all for it. Of course, then I'm going to have all the people on my next door freaking out about wolves. Now, the same people that are always in a panic about coyotes are going to be freaking out about wolves. But I'm all for it.
Well, maybe just like a scarecrow or a wolf crow.
Maybe a robo-wolf?
Or a John Cougar crow. Just dress up John Cougar and put him in your front yard.
I don't hate that. And every once in a while, he'll just spit for authenticity.
Constantly smoking.
He's constantly burning through heaters.
Yeah.
He still smokes, right? John Cougar didn't quit smoking. But he's like down to, he was doing 5 packs a day. Now he's down to like a pack a day.
He was waking up like 6 times at night to have a cigarette.
No, you're not joking. He would wake up
in the middle of the night.
Yeah. Couldn't go to sleep unless he had a cigarette.
Well, I can't stay asleep unless I'm smoking.
Yeah, no. The whole point of cigarettes is to relax. And if you need them to sleep,
I need them to stay asleep.
it's problematic.
Four.
Let me ask you this. How long do you think you could survive in the wilderness?
Not long.
If you found yourself in a situation where you were thrown into the wilderness, how long do you think you'd be able to live? Because they've done this study and they've asked the average American how long they think they can survive alone in the wilderness.
36 hours.
Really? So you're going a day and a half.
Yeah.
The average American thinks that they can survive for 16 days alone in the wilderness.
Oh, come on.
The survey of these Americans, they feel quite at ease, it says here, with the idea of surviving alone in the wild. What's strange, though, is only 17% of us feel very confident in our ability to start a fire with flint. Only 14% feel very confident about their ability to identify edible plants or berries in nature.
Struggling.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, how long does it take the authorities to find somebody who's sleeping in the woods? I guess that would be my answer.
52% confident in their ability to identify different types of plants and trees.
That's a tree and that's a plant.
So researchers thought, really? Well, let's find out about that. And they discovered that these people were not as knowledgeable as they claimed about plants. Only a quarter of respondents could identify a black oak leaf, while only 35% were correct when they spotted poison ivy, when they showed them a picture of it. The survey tested respondents in their nature knowledge by showing them photos of common trees and plants. Respondents were most likely to be correct in their identification of maple leaves and ferns.
Well, why did he perish within 36 hours? Well, he ate a lot of poison ivy.
That's all he ate.
Yeah, that's all he ate. He also smoked it. He also made a bed out of it.
Spent a lot of his energy building a shrine to a god that only he knew in the forest.
Yeah, those were his final moments.
Yeah, just sputtering nonsense about the tree gods. 34% could tell the difference between deciduous and coniferous trees. Deciduous trees have leaves that fall off every year, and coniferous have needles. Those are your evergreens.
It doesn't make sense that he perished within 36 hours, being that you could clearly hear the interstate traffic from the forest he was in.
He died as he lived, making love to a pine tree. Yeah, 66% of respondents say that outdoor activities were the safest way to get out of their house during the pandemic. So now, because we spent so much time outdoors, we all feel like we're a bunch of Grizzly Adamses. But we're not.
No, we're not.
No. People are walking outside more as a result of what we've been through in the last year or so. More people running, more people gardening than they would have in a typical year. So we're spending more time outside, and maybe that gives us the false sense of security that we belong outdoors. We don't. And I don't know how you think you're going to survive 16 days when you don't know how to start a fire or what you can eat and what you can't eat. Those are good things to learn. But also, how likely is it you're going to find yourself alone in the wilderness?
Yeah, how did I get there?
Right? Like,
I just wandered off?
lone survivor of a plane wreck is like the only scenario I can think of. And they go looking for those planes. You know?
Yeah, they want the plane back.
Yeah.
Even if they're not interested in me.
I think I can go 6 or 7 days, probably.
Wow.
Yeah. I think I know enough. But here's the thing. I'd spend a lot of that time sleeping.
I'd be dead by sunup.
So maybe you shouldn't be spending any time walking in the woods.
I don't.
Maybe that's a not for you.
No, I just watch it on TV.
Five.
Number 5. Disneyland will soon be home to a $100 sandwich. It's the latest attraction there at Disneyland out in Anaheim. It's a new panini sandwich that makes its debut next week when they open the doors to something they call Avengers Campus at the Disney California Adventure Park.
I guess you guys got to revisit that, don't you?
Yeah, we're gonna
revisit the idea of going there.
Well, we're going to Orlando.
Yeah, okay.
There's a lot more to do in Orlando, and we had planned forever, and our trip was supposed to be March 17th of 2020.
Right.
And some things happened, and we didn't go.
Well, St. Patrick's Day got in the way. So, and the boy has never been.
No.
Okay.
He's been to Busch Gardens a ton, but never to Disney World.
To Disney World.
No.
And the idea is we need to get there before he's not going to want to do that.
Yeah, I think he'll want to go for a while. I don't think our window is closing anytime soon. But, now that he's old enough, you don't have to worry about heat stroke or anything. And he can go on the roller coasters.
At least he can tell you I'm getting hot.
Right. Right.
That I'm getting a little warm.
We went years ago. He was like, 5 or he was 5. And there was a roller coaster at Busch Gardens, and it was the kiddie roller coaster.
Yeah.
It was Grover, I want to say, Super Grover, a roller coaster, and there was nobody on it, and he just wanted to keep going and going and going. We did the ride like 9 times in a row, and then afterwards he's like, "Okay, now we got to go home."
Yeah.
And we'd only been there 45 minutes.
This is enough.
It's like, we got to go, and we slathered sunblock all over the kid. And still, it was just too much for him. So now that he's older, it'll be a better deal for everybody. It's like we need to go back to the hotel now. I've had enough. This Marvel Land Pym Test Kitchen, they're tying it into the movie Ant-Man and the Wasp. So the idea is that the food at this restaurant is either shrunk or expanded, right?
Oh, okay.
So this is like a regular sandwich, but it's huge. And it's designed, it's a panini, let's see, salami, rosemary ham, provolone, sun-dried tomato spread on toasted focaccia bread, and it can feed up to 8 people.
Yeah.
So for $100, it's not bad for Disney World. You can get the sandwich in a single serving for $14.99.
Or just the big one and just carry it around all day.
That's not bad.
I plan on eating this. I'm going to be here for like 2 or 3 days.
That's not bad. So that's at the Disney Avengers Campus. There's talk that Disney here, before too much longer, will be making a move to buy DC Comics so that Marvel and DC could have the same owner here before too much longer. Disney could end up buying DC because of all of these mergers that are happening. A $100 billion deal between the corporations where you have Warner Brothers, which owns DC, which just made the move to buy Discovery, and then you have Disney at the end of the day owning all the Marvel superheroes and all of the DC superheroes. That could be a kind of a huge deal, obviously. That's a bit of an understatement. So you could have crossovers then where Spider-Man is, teaming up with Superman.
Worlds are colliding.
Yeah. Every once in a while they'll do that in the comics where they'll do crossovers between the two companies. But in like movie form, to have, the X-Men go up against the Justice League of America or whatever they're going to end up doing, that could be huge. So the DC could be then part of the Marvel universe, which would be interesting because most of your DC movies are garbage and most of the Marvel movies are great.
Most television shows will have some sort of crossover. I wonder if there's someone out there who that's their thing, that they know about all the crossovers. Like, I know Angie Sharp knows Office stuff, but I also wonder if she knows, okay, what was the crossover show or crossover character for, say, Family Matters?
Well, you say like the episode where like Laverne and Shirley
Yes, or
and
on-
Mork from Ork are
Yes.
on Happy Days.
Right.
That would be like one of the biggest crossovers
Right.
in history, right?
Exactly. Yeah, a lot of people don't remember that Mork was on Happy Days.
That's where he made his debut.
Yes, that's right. Mm-hmm. As a dream of Richie's, right?
Beverly Hillbillies, Green Acres, and Petticoat Junction were all in the same universe. But did the characters show up? Did like Jethro ever go to Hooterville? Did they ever...
you had crossover with Hooterville, with Green Acres and Petticoat Junction.
Right.
Because Sam Hooterville.
Sam Drucker.
Yeah.
Yes, right.
Is Sam Drucker still with us?
He just passed away.
I mean, he was like... Now, we had the actor that died that was on St. Elsewhere who was 106. How old was Sam Drucker?
When Sam Drucker passed away, how old was he? The answer might shock you. Frank Cady died, well, I guess he died in 2012. I seem to remember him living a lot longer than that. He was 96 when he died.
Okay, only 96.
Yeah, I feel like that just happened. But no, I guess he died when he was 96. So if he was still with us, he'd be about Norman Lloyd's age.
Sometimes he would just have a big barrel of pickles. And you would just fish out as many as you want, I guess. Different times.
Now, the star of Petticoat Junction was B. Bernadette, right? Or B. Benaderet. And she was also the voice of Betty Rubble.
Or was she Wilma?
No, Wilma is not Janet Waldo. Janet Waldo is the voice of Jane Jackson. It's like Wilma is like Jean Vanderpill.
Wilma was Michael Landon.
No, that would have been interesting. Now, there were crossovers between Father Murphy and Little House on the Prairie,
That's
right?
true.
So they were always...
That's that's where these shows a lot of times get their launch.
Right. Well, there's a difference between a spin-off and a crossover. A
Yes,
crossover is like
crossover.
is an event, you know?
A very special Blossom.
No, Blossom was its own universe. Blossom never had any, like...
But they had a lot of special Blossoms.
Every
like,
Blossom was special, but that wasn't...
Blossom discovers vodka.
But a crossover is like they'll have a story that will go over a couple of different shows where you kind of have to watch all of the shows to see what's going on.
No one crossed over with Urkel? I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, no.
There wasn't like a Growing Pains and Family Matters?
No, that never happened. There have been crossovers where The Simpsons crossed over with Futurama, and The Simpsons did a crossover with The Family Guy.
Wasn't there an episode of where Urkel was holding the Olsen twins hostage?
No, that's not a real thing. It would have been an interesting show, but that never happened. Gotta take a quick break.
Bring in the Chicago PD.
Well, there would always be there'd be crossovers on like ER, I remember all the time.
Who'd they cross over with?
Oh, what other shows were there?
Like L.A. Law or something?
Dan Tana every once in a while would show up on an episode of Charlie's Angels and help the Angels out on,
What about Philip Roth?
Mm-hmm. And the cast of The Love Boat was on an episode of Charlie's Angels. So that was kind of a crossover. Now, all of those shows had the same producer, so that made sense. Mm-hmm. And they all took place in the same, universe. I cannot find any information on an episode of
What about
Family
the $6
Matters.
million Man?
Well, now, the Bionic Woman was on that show, and then there was a spinoff. But every
Yes.
once in a while,
They would show up.
there would be episodes where
When he needed-
Steve Austin would show up and there'd
Needed
be a
help
crossover.
fighting Bigfoot.
Right. I can't do it without
I can't
you.
handle Bigfoot.
Jamie, I can't do this without you. You and I have had a long, difficult history, but damn it, I can't fight that Sasquatch on my own.
Are you better now that you won't be crushing the tennis balls? That scares a guy.
That's why I left.
That's why I
saw
left.
you do that, and I'm like,
That's out.
Check, please.
I saw you crush that tennis ball with that powerful little claw of yours.
And I vomited.
I vomited and passed out. And once I came to, I hit the bricks.
I got to get out of here, baby.
Is it all over, Rock?
I guess so.
I didn't think it'd be like this.
Hey, patrons, know this. A special patron-only podcast is in the works. So if you are someone who is a patron of the podcast, you'll be getting an episode just for you in the coming days.
Now, how do you become a patron?
Well, you go to nachoradio.com, and there's information right there. It couldn't be simpler.
Very good.
You have access then to every show we've ever done, and that's a lot of them.
Thousands.
I would argue too many.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot to take in. This podcast brought to you by Nature's Treatment at Illinois. You can order recreational items online from the Galesburg location and order medicinal items from the Milan location if you go through Leafly, and that is at the website ntillinois.com.
Until we get a chance to do it for you again, hang loose, kooks.
You stay classy and safe, Quad Cities.
Come on, Quad Cities, represent.
This is for the Quad Cities record spot. Davenport, yeah, we keeping it locked. Rock Island, come on, and it just don't stop. East Moline, yeah, they keeping it hot.
Radio, we're done.